Yo, I am recording this right now because we are about to do our Christmas cast later tonight. And I just don't think, I cannot envision having a chance to talk about the Star Wars, the new Star Wars, tonight. I just have a feeling that's not going to fit in there. And it's going to be one of those things that's like, I wish we could have talked about that. So I'm just going to record this now and go off so that it doesn't take up a fucking hour of our stream later. I'm going to just say this. This is all stream of consciousness. I saw it, the day it came out. I still cannot tell you what I think about it. I mean, I can tell you what I think, but I cannot boil it down to it was good or it was bad. I cannot do it. And I guess in a way, I kind of commend that a little bit. I think it's kind of cool that there is a Star Wars that is so polarizing. Polarizing is not bad. I hate it when it gets boiled down to that. When people see a split review, reviews are split either way, and they go, "Oh, I'm avoiding this." Polarizing is not bad. It isn't, and I'm kind of glad there is a new Star Wars movie that isn't just a crowd pleaser. Oh, it did, yeah, it did all the stuff, did all the stuff you expect in a Star Wars movie. Did all the stuff that, it was another Star Wars movie and I had a good time and that's all there is to say. No, I'm glad this one challenged people. It's challenging me. I honestly can't tell you if I loved it or hated it. Honestly, I really can't decide, but I give it points for being something divisive. I give it points for being something outside of what we expected. And on that note, I'll say when I first, by the way, I'm going to spoil the shit out of this movie, so don't watch this if you haven't seen the movie. Okay. So, my first thoughts when the movie was over were, I am unsatisfied. I was still mixed when it ended. I didn't announce to myself, I didn't like this. I was telling people, I'm mixed on it, but that doesn't mean I hated it. I'm not like low key hating on the movie. I really am mixed. I don't know. But I think I was leaning more towards I'm unsatisfied. I think there were a lot of things that did not satisfy me in retrospect. When the credits rolled, I was like, okay, I kind of had, I'll say this. I'm pretty good about avoiding hype on movies, or not avoiding it. I see it around, but I'm pretty good at absorbing the hype in efficient ways in terms of I don't get overhyped on stuff. I don't get over, I don't dislike things because I heard too much hype. Like I'm pretty good at shielding the hype or absorbing it in a way that it doesn't affect the final product for me. What I am guilty of, what is a big weakness for me is I am as much as I fight it and I try not to be, I am a slave to my own expectations. I remember seeing There Will Be Blood after being led to believe it was just about like this guy who went psycho after digging oil, and like he like a movie about this guy just like going nuts for 2 hours, and that was an expectation I had going into that movie. I don't know why. And then when I saw it, I was like, "Fuck you." This didn't meet my expectation. And it was really just I kind of made this thing up in my head before I saw it, and it wasn't that, so I rejected it for a while until I saw it again, and I saw it for what it was, and I loved it. So I kind of fall into that sometimes. I'm definitely guilty of that. So when The Last Jedi was over, it was like, man, this didn't really meet any expectation that I had, and I had years of expectations for like, what if we ever saw Luke again, what would we see and what would that be like? And, I have all these kind of preconceived things that after The Force Awakens that were not met, that I thought were going to be bigger things and they weren't, and things that I thought would be themes that were not there. And so at first I was upset about that. But once I talked about the movie, I saw Kevin saw it, and I talked with him about it a little bit, and kind of just talked about it later in the day. I realized that was kind of the theme of this movie was flipping your expectations. This isn't going to go the way you think it's going to go. Luke fucking says it in the movie. It was in the trailers. But kind of this notion of, it's kind of an anti-nostalgia theme. Just kind of how Twin Peaks had that too, which is funny. They both had Laura Dern in them. But kind of this circumventing your expectations thing purposely. And, there are things that I didn't even catch during the movie that they were doing that, It got to a point where they're in like Snoke's throne room and he starts saying the same shit that Palpatine does. Oh, turn and join me and, blah, blah, blah. Your friends cannot help you, blah, blah, blah. Or whatever the hell he says. It's almost word for word. And I remember sitting there thinking, are we doing this again? Like, you did this better 30 years ago. But it only hit me later that was how intentional that was. It really was like their way of going, we're falling down this again. And then what happens? Kylo Ren fucking immediately erases the scene. He just completely fucking kills the dude and goes, yep, yeah, you know what? Hey, fuck this. No. Fuck the old shit. We need to do some new shit. Forget it. It's almost this meta narrative on Star Wars itself as a franchise. It's almost like watching the writer's room or something, Kylo Ren is this force of like, burn it all down. Fucking, we gotta like go. Let's start over. It's like, we gotta let go of that. And then you got Rey on the other side who's like, well, we can't really just burn it all down. You know Luke, right? Like, I know Luke. You can't just get rid of him. Like this opposing thing, and you even see them both force wrestling the blue lightsaber, the classic lightsaber from that's been in every movie or whatever. And it's almost like this perfect symbol of nostalgia, and they're both kind of fighting over what to do with it. And the more I kind of thought through that, I was like, that was kind of fucking cool. Like, I liked that. I liked what Kylo Ren, I like the character Kylo Ren. I do. And I liked what he brought to this kind of like feeling of, fuck this old shit, stop. Some people were disappointed that Snoke was like dealt away with so quick, but to me, that was the twist is, here's this thing, you already have this preconceived notion of what it was going to be and how it was going to play out, and it was this rock star moment of, it was the Star Wars version of smashing the guitar on stage. It was, fuck this, fuck it all, fuck it. And Kylo Ren just talking, just hey, fuck it all, man. Let's do something else. Let's burn this house down. What do you say? And it is hard to, it's like, yeah, I do want something new, but you can't outright say goodbye to this stuff. So there's a struggle there and all that. And that was, and even and the revelation on her parents too was incredible. It's like, quit trying to make this more than it is. You know what your parents are. They're shitheads. That's it. It's nothing. It's like we keep chasing down this rabbit hole. He's confronting her as if she has this same kind of longing and nostalgia, and and he's guilty of it too. But he throws away his Darth Vader fanboy helmet, and he's realizing it's time to fucking burn it all down. I really liked that. I liked that scene is my favorite in the whole movie, because on top of that, to cap it off, you have the battle with the Praetorian guards or whatever they're called. Praetorian guard, whatever they are, those red dudes. That was bad. I mean, just visually, that sequence looked incredible. But I loved that we had these tandem Jedi. I mean, I guess they're not Jedi, but tandem lightsaber users bouncing off each other, and shit, that was fucking cool. That whole sequence was amazing. And honestly, I kind of wish there was a little bit more of that in this movie. So this is where I'm getting to. So, the whole movie was about usurping your flipping your expectations. You even had Yoda showing up and being like, "Let the fucking books burn, man." Like, We learn from stuff and then do new stuff. That's what we do. You know, kind of like you learn from, it's like you can't just throw away the past, but you can't stick to it either, You know what it put into your life, and now you take that and you do something else. So I liked all those themes. I actually, after I talked it through, I was like, I kind of liked that my expectations were not met. I kind of liked that it had the gall to flip those. So I started to like that stuff. Where I start to wrestle with it is, these are the things that I am still wrestling with. Is I don't know if it gave me something in return in terms of throwing away the old stuff. I don't know what this movie gave me that was really like, yeah, bring on the new shit. I'm very into like where Kylo Ren and all that is going. But I'm like, okay, what else is happening? Like, honestly, this movie ended, and I'm happy it didn't end on a cliffhanger. I like the ending that it had. But I'm kind of like, what's next? Why am I kind of still clinging to this? What's happening and what's going on in episode 9? I don't know. Like, again, part of me is happy it didn't end on a cliffhanger and cheap out that way, because they could do that. But the other part of me is just like, well, what's the drive for the next thing? Like, what's the big? What are we kind of like chomping at the bit for now in this universe? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really know. And I'll say straight up, I spent a lot of the movie kind of like, okay, what are we doing? I loved Finn in The Force Awakens. I love that actor, and I love that character. I liked all the characters in Force Awakens. I thought, the movie, the story wasn't that substantial, but I really liked the characters. I thought Finn really was not that interesting in this movie. He came back, and then it's like, all right, we're kind of just going to this casino planet, which that ended up not being kind of that cool. And them riding on the CG horses was very like prequel-esque, kind of like time-wasting shit to me a little bit. I mean, it paid off cool in the ending and stuff like that, but I'm just kind of like, what? I don't really care about this. I don't care about the code breaker stuff. I don't know. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. But then like there's some history with Finn and Phasma, so like their whole conflict, that part, as brief as it was, that I was like, yes, this has some weight. You know what I mean? So I kind of dug that. But by and large, kind of whatever. And, even Rey was on that island, and it's like, okay, well, cool. Good conversations here, I guess. But, like, she goes down into that pit, and, she's just looking at the copies of herself. It's not really anything that entertaining, So I'm kind of wondering, like, well, what? I don't know. Like, maybe we could have used a little bit more. It's, everything's about balance, as they say in the movie. But anyway, I just feel like they could have balance things, pace things a little better in that regard. But my biggest issue with this movie that I'm still wrestling with, there's lots of little things that I liked, but I almost felt like there was a fear of being emotionally sincere, or like every one of these I kind of talked about this before, but every one of these moments, these heavy moments or these serious moments is just fucking punctured by these goofs. Like, they just kind of keep doing it. And people always tell me this. Oh, Star Wars has always had humor. It's always had humor. There's always been humor. I fucking know. I've seen them all. I've loved them my whole life. But there are limits. There is balance. And I don't think they struck that balance in this one. To be honest, I thought The Force Awakens did a great job of injecting that kind of fun humor. Again, I thought they balanced it great in that movie. Even then, you could argue maybe it was a little heavy, but I don't know. I don't know. You're coming from a series of movies that used to call, Chewbacca's a walking carpet, and you find yourself floating home. Hi, how are you? Like, these are funny movies, but I thought Force Awakens balanced that humor well. It injected that life back into it. This movie, I felt like it's like it couldn't just be sincere for a moment. It's like this fear of not, it's like it's almost like I don't know if it's the director, if it was Rian Johnson or what, there's like this fear of being too real for a minute. Oh, let me show you these books here, and this is look what we found. Nobody comes from nowhere, Ray. Well, I'm from Jakku. Okay, well, that's pretty much nowhere. It's. Can we just be serious for one fucking minute? Even in the final moments, I loved that scene where Luke shows up and they're, point every weapon at that guy, fucking fire. Damn, that was some fucking amazing, just fanboy moment. Just to, you can't fuck with Luke Skywalker, buddy. Nice try. And then even that is punctured. Well, did you get him? Did you get him? You think you got him? If it's just that, it's funny. But there's like 10 jokes on either side of it, and even the opening, you got a your mom joke, and it's just kind of over and over and over again. Like, all right, and again, some of the parts are really fun. I thought the payoff to the end of Force Awakens, where he has the lightsaber and he tosses it behind him, well played. That's hilarious. But then chill after that, oh, the spaceship is coming in. Oh, it's an iron. That was like 10 things too many. I don't know. It's just like, Return of the Jedi is full of fucking goofy humor. But then when it goes to all the father-son shit, it's like, this is some real shit. Like, even if parts are hokey, it's sincere. It's emotional. It's sappy. It's not afraid to be sappy. And that's what I have always loved about Star Wars. That's what I liked about it in the beginning. I am sappy, and I like sappy. And I'll be honest, I think J.J. Abrams is better at capturing that than Rian Johnson was. Now, I'm not saying he made a better story necessarily. There's not a lot of original ideas in that story per se. But what I love are those. This is just me. I'm just talking for myself. These sappy, emotional moments. Even if the story's not that great, it's these moments, these heart moments that you just take a second and soak it in. Even if it's a little sappy, a little hokey, whatever. You drink it in for a minute, And, I feel like they were afraid to do that in this movie. Even though the story might have been better in this movie, they were afraid to kind of just have those moments where it's like, let's, I don't know. I'm kind of happy J.J. Abrams is doing the last one because he does like to milk those moments. And even if the story ends up whatever, I like that feeling. And Star Wars to me has always been about a feeling. So I don't know. That's just my preference. But that I just felt like it wasn't like I don't want jokes in Star Wars. It's not that. It's not anything anti-humor. I like humor. Star Wars should have humor. But it just felt afraid to just kind of have a moment and leave it there. Instead of adding these fucking little smirky things, like just stop, like chill out. But again, and again, going back, there was just lots of parts where I don't really know what it added, Again, Finn's whole storyline, I'm kind of like, what do we get out of it? I don't know. Leia, like, getting blasted out of the thing and floating back. Okay, cool. We saw her use the Force, but what did we get out of, like, her floating and being gone for, in the thing for that amount of time? And what do we get out of that, Oh, we want to see her use the Force. Okay, why? Wouldn't it have been cool if she used it to stop all the ships from shooting her? Or, I don't know. What do we really get out of that? I'm just not really sure. So I'm still wrestling with all of it. But again, still some great shit. Still some, let me go back to, actually, I don't mean to keep complaining, but I'm also going to say this. Is this still recording? I'm making sure. Okay. I'm also going to say, on top of everything else, I'm going to speak for the fanboy part of my mind. Not the logical part of my mind, but the fanboy part. I will say, just as a fanboy, I there was a time when I thought, man, Luke Skywalker coming back to do some shit, I'm not going to be able to handle that as a grown man. Like, as a grown-ass man, I'm going to fucking weep if anything happens to Luke. And this movie came, and not that I hate everything about Luke in the movie. I thought, there's really good stuff with Luke in the movie. But it still was, like, right out the gate, he's kind of nutty. And just kind of, wacky. He's drinking the milk, and I'm just kind of, I don't know. I'm not being logical here, but the guy who always loved Return of the Jedi and where Luke went in that, I was kind of like, oh man. And he's not even there for the last battle. I did like the thing he pulled in the final battle. I did like that, but I'm kind of like, is that kind of the fanboy in me kind of wishes he was there for one last fucking all out blaze of glory death. As it stood, I thought it made sense for the story. He was kind of above that. He was kind of beyond that, and that makes sense. But the fanboy in me was kind of like, kind of wish it was different. But anyway, that's just me. That's the fanboy talking. The fanboy in me loved that Yoda was a fucking puppet again. Redeemed that character completely from the boring ass CG turd we got in the prequels. But man, getting that puppet and him having personality again was a treat. For a minute, I was scared because he kind of looked weird when he first showed up. But once it was a puppet and it acted the way that it did, like that was like really that was a fan service whatever moment that worked in my opinion, because it would make sense that he would show up and his personality was just that was a great moment in my opinion. Anyway, there were lots of great things in the movie, and I still like all the new characters. I love Poe. I really like his character, and I like that everyone failed and had to learn from that. I really dug it. There's a lot of the movie I really dug, but I'm still wrestling with if I overall liked it or not. I'll just say I liked it. It's Star Wars, and I suck Star Wars ass. I'm sorry, I do, and I still enjoy it, and I'll see the next one. I definitely will, but I'm still wrestling with kind of where this falls. I don't know, And I'm so tired of all that shit where every time a new Star Wars comes out, it's the best one since Empire, right here. I'm so over that shit. Drop that shit. But I don't know where this falls for me. I still can't tell you if it's love or hate. But I still, appreciate that it did something new, took me somewhere else, and took a risk. And I think if nothing else, it deserves a lot of credit for taking the risks that it did. And I really liked the ending. That was an emotional moment. They didn't puncture that with a joke. I kind of like that. But again, the fan in me is going, what are we waiting for the next one? Anyway, that's all I thought. That was a little longer than I intended. But anyway, yep. Thanks. I still don't give a fuck about Han Solo. Fucking Han Solo movie. Fuck that.